There are 4 problems in our weddings today, brothers and sisters. 4 un-Islamic habits that I find in Muslims' weddings today, even some believers. And I'll go through them one by one. Number 1, the extravagant spending that you find in most weddings. You know, the average American, how much do they spend on their weddings? According to a very credible source, which is Google, an average American spends $30,000 on their wedding. Now, you think this is a lot. A couple of days ago, someone was telling me, in our community in Michigan, he was telling me, Sayyid, in our community, it's double that. The average wedding costs up to $60,000, $70,000. Because he was telling me, Sayyid, you don't know what they do. First of all, the hall. The hall now is costing thousands of dollars to rent. Second of all, come and look at how much they spend on the flowers. He was telling me one wedding he attended, $10,000 just on the decorations and the flowers. You know, we have the kosher. I don't know what they call it in English. Sometimes that in itself is costs a couple of $1,000s to rent, not even to buy. The decorations, the flowers. You find, he says, the cameraman, the photographer that they bring, thousands of dollars they pay that individual so that he could get the shots. And then he says, Sayyid, come and see the food. I mentioned last night, it's recommended to serve the believers, to serve them a meal. But don't do israf, don't overdo it. Sometimes you see the buffet of the weddings, 50 types of food. And then the desserts and the sweets and the ways, you know, the watermelon, they carve it in like a flower, like a duck. You know how much that costs? The $5 watermelon, when you make it looking like a duck, will cost you $500. Wallahi, this is haram, brothers and sisters. Wallahi, this is haram. No one is saying don't bring food. It's recommended. I mentioned last night to feed the people. Bring food, bring decent food. There's 50 types of food. Some marriages, you see some weddings, they bring an entire restaurant crew. The crew of the restaurant comes and they have a stand. One stand for the shawarma, one stand for the I don't know what, one stand for the juice, one stand for the desserts. You find those huge fountains of chocolate, the cake. Some people spend thousands of dollars on it. Wallahi, it's become untenable, unbearable. This is haram, this is israf, because all of the extra food usually is thrown in the garbage, brothers and sisters. This is haram, brothers and sisters. Wallahi, it is haram. No one is saying don't bring food. Bring food, bring good food. We said bring chicken, lamb. But the extravagance, the israf that we are seeing, the splurging that we are seeing in the weddings, but this is too much. We are exceeding all the boundaries. You know, there are people who work as wedding planners. He was telling me, a brother, they bring a wedding planner. They pay him $5,000 just to plan the wedding. When you put all those costs together, it reaches sometimes $100,000. And these are the average ones. Some, they do crazy exotic things. One was telling me that in one of the weddings, the wife came with a chariot. You know Cinderella? She came inside the building, sitting in a chariot and horses leading. Do you know how costly that is? And then he tells me that they bought 100 doves, those white doves. Each one costs, Allahu A'lam, a couple of $100. And then they just freed them after the wedding. All of this waste, what is this going to do, brothers and sisters? You think this is going to bring you happiness? It's all dunya, because they want to show off. The wedding, which should be a sunnah of Rasulullah, should remind you of Rasulullah, should remind you of Allah. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, the Quran says. This is a sign of Allah. It reminds you of dunya. Exactly like how I mentioned the people of Jahiliyyah. The maqbara reminds you of Allah, right? The graveyard. Jahiliyyah, they used to go to graveyard so that they boast about how many dead people they have. I have 20 graves here, so I'm a bigger clan than yours. They changed the graveyard, which is a place of akhirah, to a place of dunya. This is what we have done in our communities. The wedding becomes a place to show my money, to show how much I own, and how I can bring people's attention and how I can show off. This is what weddings have become. You want Allah to bless this marriage when it's all about dunya, it's all about wasting this money. And then, not to speak about the dress. The brother was giving me a rundown. The dresses that the brides are wearing, thousands of dollars. $6,000, $7,000. Why, brothers and sisters? You think a $5,000 dress is going to make you happy? This is what's going to bring you success in your marriage? Wallahi, it will not. In fact, let me tell you this. Not only will splurging on your wedding not make you happy, not only is it a waste of money, it will make your marriage worse. You know, there are studies that have proven the more you spend on your wedding, the higher the chances of divorce will be in your marriage. The more you spend in your wedding, the less successful your marriage will be. I have the study here. It's a study conducted by Emory University. Emory University is a university in Atlanta. They found that couples who spend less on their weddings, they tend to have longer lasting marriages that are more successful. The less you spend, the happier the marriage will be. And they found the couple that spent more on their weddings, they splurged on the weddings. They splurged on the wedding ring. This is also something that's mentioned. $10,000 wedding ring. These individuals, they had the worst marriages. They had the highest rates of divorce. So why am I spending all of it? For whom? For Allah. Allah doesn't want it. For yourself, you won't benefit from it. You're doing it for the people, just to show off. It's all about riyah, brothers and sisters. So unfortunately, how our weddings have become as far as possible as they can from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he was telling me the dress, the makeup. Sometimes there are some places that some sisters go. If you're the bride, they will give you the bride's makeup worth $1,000. Sometimes $2,000. Maybe you guys even have heard crazier stories. $1,000 just for makeup? Yani my face, I don't want people to see it. Naturally, I have to spend $1,000 on my face so it becomes something beautiful. Wallahi, this is so unfortunate. And he was telling me this is just the money that the husband and wife spend, let alone the other people. Because every woman that comes, she spent a $500, $1,000 dress. Every man that comes, look at their suit, look at their shoes, look at the jewelry that they wear. If you look at collectively how much those 200-300 people spend in that wedding, he told me, Sayyid, I counted one wedding, maybe $200,000 in our community here. $200,000 on one wedding. And you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless this? Allahu Akbar. The other day, Al-Hajj Abu Muhammad was telling me that the average wage in Lebanon today, you know how much it is? Of an average worker, $100 to $150. He lives off that for an entire month. This is a person who is a Shia of Ahlulbayt alayhimus salam. And I claim I'm a Shia here and I spend $100,000 on my wedding. And it's all haram. I'll get to the haram. Am I a true Shia of Ahlul Bayt? Am I a true Muslim? Just the cake in itself will cost a couple of $1,000s. My shoe will cost more than $150 for the wedding. And this is the entire salary of our brothers and sisters in Lebanon. Isn't this haram, brothers and sisters? Isn't this a dead ummah? You want Allah to bless such a nation? You want Allah to bless such a community? Listen to the hadith of Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. He says, لَأَنْ أَعُولَ أَهْلَ بَيْتٍ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ أَسُدَّ جُوعَتَهُمْ وَأَكْسُ عَوْرَتَهُمْ فأكف وجوههم عن الناس أحب إلي من أن أحج حجة وحج ومثلها حتى بلغ السبعين. He says that if I had money and I could use that money to give it to a poor Muslim family, I can give them food and shelter and I can preserve their dignity so that they don't have to go and beg. This is better for me than going to Hajj 70 times. Going to Hajj 70 times is less, Imam al-Baqir says, in thawab, than if you have money, give it to a family that is in need, that need food, that need shelter. And then we spend tens of thousands of dollars on our weddings. Wallahi, this is haram. This is israf. The walima is recommended. It's mustahab. Invite people, give them a meal. But don't overdo it. Do something, average. Something that will, you'll do the mustahab. And something that is, average. But when I splurge and spend all that money, wallahi, you're not helping anyone. Even yourself, you're hurting yourself. Because the more you spend on your wedding, studies say, the higher the chances of divorce. I remember I read a story once, a couple of years ago, of a Turkish couple in Turkey. They had collected and saved money for their wedding. I don't know, $10,000, $20,000, whatever. Subhanallah, they noticed that there was an influx of refugees from Syria in Turkey. You know what they did? The man wore his suit. The wife, the bride, she wore her dress. and they went and they bought food for 4,000 with the money that they had saved. For 4,000 Syrian refugees, and they fed them, and they said, this is our wedding. And they said, we feel much happier than what, spending all that money on the flowers and on the cake and on those sweets and on those weird looking fruits that we bring that do really nothing for us. They spent their money to feed 4,000 people. Well, with that money, we're feeding what? 200 people, 300. Feed people, but don't overdo it. Don't do the israf. So this is number one, brothers and sisters. The first un-Islamic habit that we find in our communities and many of the marriages is the israf, the tabdhir, the extravagant spending, which is bad for your dunya and bad for your akhirah. Number two, a second un-Islamic habit that you find in our weddings today is the music. Every wedding you go to, brothers and sisters, you will hear that loud music. This is why I can't go to any wedding, because it's filled with music. I know there are some music that some ulama say it's halal, but that's not the music that you'll find in the weddings. It's all the haram music, the music that makes you want to dance. This is haram, brothers and sisters. Why do we have to have music in our weddings? Why? Did Allah say it's in the Holy Quran? I don't understand why we're doing this. Does it just makes us happy because there's music? This is how important it is that I start my wedding with music and haram. Listen to the fatwa of Sayyid al-Sistani. Sayyid al-Sistani says, الموسيقى المحرمة هي ما تكون مناسبة لمجالس اللهو واللعب. He says the music that is haram is the one that is played in the gatherings of the people of the dunya, gatherings of fun, gatherings of entertainment. This is haram, which is the one you find in the weddings. The one that's halal is the one you find in the professional settings. For example, you're in a restaurant, there's the background music. In the plane, you're waiting in a doctor's office. Somewhere professional people are sitting, there's music. Does it make you want to dance? This is the music that maybe Sayyid Sistani considered. But the one that you see in the weddings, this is the one that makes you want to dance. This is ma yunasib majalis al-lahu wal-la'ab. This is haram, brothers and sisters. Why do I have to have music in my wedding? Why? I don't understand why every wedding has to have music. This is something that we have to leave. Listen to the fatwa of Sayyid Fallallah rahmatullah alayh. He says, مَشْتَمَلَ عَلَى اللَّحْنِ الْمُثِيرِ لِلشَّهَوَاتِ. He was asked which music is haram. He said, مَشْتَمَلَ عَلَى اللَّحْنِ الْمُثِيرِ لِلشَّهَوَاتِ أو المتناسب مع أجواء أهل الفساد والمعاصي. He said any music that arouses and triggers your desires, makes you want to dance, music that is played by the people of dunya, same thing as what Sayyid Sistani says, then this is haram. And that's the music you find in the weddings. You won't find the boring classical music in the weddings. Do you find that music? Now maybe the classical boring music that no one wants to listen to, sahih, when you're on hold in that annoying company, that music nobody wants to listen to. You're not going to play that in the wedding. No, you want that fast music that people want to dance. This is haram. All the maraja say it's haram. I don't understand why all of a sudden it becomes halal just because I'm getting married. Just because it's my wedding night, I have the right to violate the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now some people may say, without music, my wedding will be boring. I mean, what are we going to do? Just sit down and look at each other? No, brothers and sisters. There are halal alternatives. You can have Islamic nasheeds. There are so many beautiful Islamic nasheeds, Islamic mawalid, tawashih. You can find them on YouTube. They're very beautiful. They're entertaining. They're about Ahlulbayt and they're 100% halal. I have attended some weddings. Remember I said rarely you'll find the Shari'i weddings. I've attended some of them. They'll have the anashid. It's beautiful. It's not boring. In fact, right now, I see even there's this trend where they bring some of the muqra', some of the rawadid, some of the reciters, and they will recite a beautiful poetry for Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. There's even one of them in Dearborn. He has a crew. He brings his crew and they recite together. It's very entertaining. It's not boring at all. They recite abiyat about Imam Ali alayhi salam, about Fatima az-Zahra. How beautiful is that? You begin your wedding, your marriage, by invoking the name of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, by invoking the name of Allah, by doing dhikr of Allah. This is when you know the blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal will definitely incorporate you. Because I began my marriage and my wedding with Ahlul Bayt. Ahlul Bayt will not leave you. Ahlul Bayt will not forsake you. When does Allah forsake you? When you forsake Him. When you begin your marriage, haram, 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 Allah, He pulls away His blessings. When you go do your katb kitab, you finish your katb kitab, Allah brings down His mercy upon you. He brings down, He showers you with His blessings. But then when you go to the wedding and he sees all haram, 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 He pulls back His blessings from you. This is when He forsakes you. When you forsake Allah, this is when you find the problems having between the husband and the wife. Begin your wedding in a beautiful way by having these reciters. And you know what's worse now? I'm hearing that now they're bringing live performers for haram, singers. In our communities, they charge $4,000, $5,000. I remember once I was told by a brother, someone invited a singer for his wedding from the Middle East. He paid him $20,000. $20,000. Every dollar of it is haram. I will be held accountable for it on the Day of Judgment. So this is number 2. A second un-Islamic habit is the music. The new generation, brothers and sisters, do not listen to your peers. Do not listen to whoever comes and tells you your marriage, your wedding will be boring if there is no music. It doesn't matter. What matters is pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bring those qurra and have the beautiful nasheeds recited in your wedding. This is number 2. Number 3, a third un-Islamic habit I see in our communities in many marriages is the dancing that happens. All ulama mention, brothers and sisters, dancing in front of the opposite gender is haram. Dancing in front of the opposite gender, if there's a woman seeing me, haram for me to dance. If I'm a female, a man seeing me, haram for me to dance. Listen to the hadith of Rasulullah. This hadith is sahih, it's authentic. He says, "Anhaakum an az-zafin." I forbid you of zafin. Zafin means dancing. That's why some ulama say, aslan, all types of dancing are haram, even between the same gender. Now there is a disagreement on this. Some ulama say in a wedding, if it's a segregated wedding, which we don't see anymore, segregated weddings anymore, the woman can dance, only the woman, they can dance as long as it's segregated, no men watching. Sayyid Sistani, he has a problem even with that. He says even segregated wedding, woman, he says, you cannot dance. He has a problem with this. But the problem with our weddings, they're mixed. Men and women together and they're dancing together. This is haram according to every marja. Sometimes I see some videos, brothers and sisters, I see of weddings, I see some people who I know, they're believers, they're mu'mins. I went to Hajj with them. He's doing the dabka in the wedding. And la, it's men and women together doing the dabka and there's men and women watching. Haram, brothers and sisters. Wallahi, this is haram. Why do we forget Allah because my son or daughter is getting married? We should be closer to Allah because this is a time where Allah has brought us together. Allah has favored me and given me this ni'mah that I can hold a wedding for my son and daughter, that he has found a wife, that she has found a husband. Instead of thanking him, I stand and do dabka without any haya when women are watching me. Look at the fatwa of Sayyid Fadlallah. Sayyid Fadlallah says dabka is okay بشرط أن لا يقترن بشيء من المحرمات كالاختلاط المنافي للحشمة أو اشتراك الجنسين من الذكور والإناث في ذلك أو مصاحبته الغناء أو الموسيقى المحرمين. Sayyid Fadlallah says you want to have the dabka, it has to be a segregated wedding. Men and women, they cannot have dabka together. The men cannot have the dabka when women are watching them. He says this is haram. This is immodesty. Women are watching men performing the dabka. This is a form of haram. So if I really had to have the dabka, then you have to do it after the wedding. The boys, the guys can take the groom into another room where there's only men, no woman watching. You can't videotape it and put it on Facebook because other women will watch it. You can do the dabka there, Sayyid Fadlallah says. But in our weddings, brothers and sisters, it's being done all in a mixed setting. This is haram. So this is something that we have to be careful. The dancing, this is number 3. Our weddings should not have dancing, especially if it is a mixed wedding. And finally, number 4, this may come out as harsh for some people, but brothers and sisters, as the Holy Quran says, إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ بِمُنذِرٍ. I'm just warning you, brothers and sisters. I just want to tell you what the Quran says. I have absolutely no interest in this. You are all my brothers and sisters. And because I care for you, I'm telling you this. One of the ways in which haram is being done in our weddings, in our mixed weddings, is the makeup. The makeup that sisters come putting makeup. The bride, she comes putting all that makeup, 5 pounds of makeup on her face. Brothers and sisters, it is haram for another man to see me if I'm a sister and I have makeup on my face. Allah mentions this in the Quran. It's a clear verse in the Holy Quran. Allah says, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ. And tell the believing women to guard their chastity, to guard their modesty, and to lower their gaze, and to not show their adornment, their beauty. You can't show that beauty, which is the jewelry or the makeup. This is haram according to all maraja. So I go to a mixed wedding and I have, mashallah, 5 pounds of makeup on my face, and there's going to be all these men looking at me. Haram. You want to put makeup? You have to have a segregated wedding. You don't want to have a segregated wedding? You want to have a mixed wedding? Then you cannot put the makeup. This is the fatwa of every single marja, brothers and sisters. You will not find one alim that will tell you it's okay. Go to the wedding, put makeup, and let the men look at you. Yes, if it's a family member, your father, brother, that's fine. But all these men who are not my mahram, I come in front of them and I have all this makeup, this is haram. This is what the Quran says. Not just in weddings, all the time, but specifically in weddings. So unfortunately, this is one of the habits, haram habits that you find in our weddings, the mixed weddings. You see the sister comes putting makeup. This is haram. You're not allowed to show your zina unless it is the Quran continues, إِلَّا لِبُعُولَتِهِنَّ أَوْ آبَاء. Your husband, your father, your son, your nephew, your brother, fine. But if it's all these people who are not my mahram, it is haram, brothers and sisters. Does this mean we must have segregated weddings? No. You don't necessarily have to have a segregated wedding. You can have a mixed wedding, but as long as the laws of Allah are not defined. No dancing, no music, bring someone a muqra to recite tawashih, and absolutely no makeup. Now, if this is something that's too unbearable, I have to put makeup, I have to come with the jewelry, then maybe here it's better to have the segregated marriage. It's better to have the segregated wedding. So brothers and sisters, these are 4 points that we have to think about. Let us ponder about them, and let us try to start a trend, a movement in our societies, that no more haram in our weddings. Allah comes before everyone and we can still enjoy the wedding. We can bring those beautiful foods, just don't overdo it. You can gather in the halls, even bring roses, bring sweets, just don't overdo it. But no dancing, no music. Instead, bring those beautiful reciters that we have. They bring even some of them, their crew with them, and they deliver a beautiful performance that's all about Ahlulbayt alayhimu salatu wasalam. And finally, we have to be careful with the makeup in those mixed settings. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us, to give us the tawfiq, the strength and the courage. Sometimes it needs courage to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Him to give us the tawfiq that we can follow the commandments, that we can follow in the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.